Welcome back. You're watching The Capital Point, and we continue with our conversation as we look at cooperatives and SACCOs in the country. And joining me now in studio is Peter Gichangi, the board chair, Safaricom Investment Cooperative. Thank you so much for making time to be on Metropole TV and, of course, on the Capital Point. Now, SIC was has recently joined the Ibuka program at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Just run us a little bit on what exactly that means for SIC, and with that, just a bit of background on the history of SIC.
All right, thank you, Torian, for having me here today. I'm glad to be part of the Capital Point and Metropole TV. Let me start with the second part of your question, the history of Safaricom Investment Cooperative. We popularly call it SIC. We started out in the year 2009 after the SACCOs Act was changed by Parliament. Before this, you would find that SACCOs used to invest in properties beyond the basic mandate that they had, which is, lending to their members. I think at around the same time there were challenges where quite a number of SACCOs had become illiquid because they had invested in tangible assets which they could not liquidate, and therefore they were not able to meet the obligations of their members in terms of servicing their borrowings. The ministry then decided to craft this law that hived off investment cooperatives and moved the mandate of investing out of the savings and credit cooperatives. As such, the Safaricom SACCO decided to have a splinter organization, which is the Safaricom Investment Cooperatives, and that's how SIC was born in the year 2009. From then on, we started doing investment projects. Our focus over quite a number of years had been in real estate, continues to be even today in terms of portfolio, real estate, where we look for appropriate pieces of land and get them at a fairly good price, offload those to our members and to the market, acquire more and continue with the same. Over time, we also went into housing projects, and we have done quite a number of housing projects. Notably, we have done some apartments along Mombasa Road and some in Rwaka, close to 300 units in total, and quite a number, or most of them have been sold out. We have just a handful left. We have also looked at investing in other asset classes, and we have been investing a bit in primary production in agriculture. We have done also stocks in the Securities Exchange. This has allowed us to give our members, a pretty good return over the period of time. We have, over the 10 years, been able to pay dividends to our 4,800 members of about 2.2 billion. Pretty good return. We have had as high returns as 40% when we started off, and we continue to give double-digit returns to our members. So why Ibuka? After 10 years in existence, we looked at ourselves and asked, what more could we do? How else could we grow this organization? We want to scale the heights. Our ambition is to be the investment partner of choice in East Africa. And we think there is very good leverage that we can get from joining the Ibuka program. For those who are not aware, the Ibuka program is a program by the Nairobi Securities Exchange in conjunction with the Capital Markets Authority, where they are trying to spur the Securities Exchange to get a lot more activity, listing of new companies, encourage a lot more openness in how the process is done for companies to fully understand what that is. So when you look at the Ibuka program, there are two bits. There is an incubator program and there is an accelerator program. The incubator program takes you through what a listed company requires. So they take you through the corporate governance, basics. They take you through the financials, they take you through publicity management, you know, the basic things to prepare your organization for the stock exchange, the securities exchange rather. While as the Accelerator program actually focuses in preparing you to list. So not only reviewing what you have as a business, as a processes, but also guiding you on basic things like how is valuation calculated, how are you going to do that if you're going to list, what type of process is going to happen between the time you say you want to list to you actually listing, how do you carry out investor briefs to get people to know your company, very many other things around how you list. So we looked at it and we found multiple benefits for the Safaricom Investment Cooperative. The first being, of course, we learn quite a bit on processes and we enhance the already good processes we have to make them better. The second is that we open ourselves to a lot more, coverage out there through the media, through this program. The third is that we get a lot of guidance from various experts. So you'll find in the Ibuka program, the Nairobi Securities Exchange brings in various types of consultants. So they'll bring in a brand consultant, a valuation consultant, an accounting consultant, a process consultant. All of these people bring a lot of knowledge to you. You get a myriad of ideas and you enhance yourself. Finally, we see ourselves getting a lot of value in alternative ways of doing business. So for how SACCOs are structured today, we are governed by the Ministry of Cooperatives, and the Ministry of Cooperatives has an act that tells us how we run things. From that act, there's very little leverage that you have on how you can expand your business. So you can either get money from your members or members through their membership fees, and second, through a shares drive of the members, or third, you can give them interest products. So you can have like a fixed deposit, but it's only limited to your membership. You cannot open that up to the public.
Oh, that's interesting. So that means, because one of the questions I was going to ask is how you raise your finances to, for the specific projects that you have. So you have to raise within your members only?
You have to raise within your members, or you have to have cash reserves that you have kept from your operations. Finally, you are allowed to go to the public banks or the existing commercial banks. Of course, when you do that, then the type of interest you get in that market is extremely expensive. So the benefits are quite huge for us to join this program, and we are excited to be here.
Any timelines? I know you've mentioned both, the incubator and the accelerator. When you sit down as SIC board members, for instance, do you talk about, we're going to list in 5 years? Are those the kind of conversations that you're currently having?
They are actually possibly even more complex than that. But first, we have looked at ourselves, sat with the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and we have seen that we don't need to go through the incubator program. We can go direct into the accelerator because we have matured quite a number of our processes at this point. The biggest challenge we are trying to resolve now is liquidity of our shares. So we have 4,800 members. Multiple people joined at different stages. There are those who joined when we were only Safaricom members in 2009. There are some who joined in 2012, 2013 when we opened up, and others continue joining even as late as yesterday. The question for them has been, how do you sell? Again, because it's mandated by the cooperatives, you can only sell to the members that you already have if you have shares to sell. So you find that if somebody wants to sell, they will have to put it up to the members who are there and say who is willing to pick up new additional shares. And often we have had some challenges because if, for example, God forbid, you are in a cash crunch or something has happened as a crisis in your life and you need to liquidate, then you are left at the mercies of when will somebody be willing to buy. What we are seeking to do is to unlock that value for our members in addition to all the other benefits. And we are looking at this being possibly within 2 to 3 years. Could we have been able to succeed with this process?
All right. You've talked about membership, and of course, given the success that SIC has had up to now, I'm sure there's a lot of Kenyans out there who are wondering, even before you get publicly listed, how can I be part of it? What would you tell them?
We are open to additional members. At this point in time, we are looking to grow our membership to about 8,000. And therefore, we have an odd 3,200 or thereabouts members that are more or less welcome, after which we will take a pause to reflect on whether we need to recruit any more members. The process is quite simple. You can go to our website, sic.co.ke, and you will be able to see there the membership requirements. It's just a simple form that you fill in with your details. You bring in that form or submit it to us via email, and then you'll get instruction on how to pay up your membership. There's a membership fee, and then there are a minimum number of shares that you need to acquire, which is 100 shares. Today, the membership fee is 20,000 shillings, and the minimum shares will cost you about 52,500. So the total figure ends up being about 72,500, and you become a member.
All right.
Yes.
In 10 years, you have grown your membership to 4,800, your entire portfolio to 2.2 billion shillings. How did you do that?
Well, I must say there has been a lot of focus and dedication in terms of selecting the right products and the right projects. We have a team of, in the office, we have a team of 55 who are split heavily into sales, but quite a number of our office members are in the projects and admin side. The projects and admin side goes out and looks out for what are the best targets that we can acquire out there, and what is the best use that we can have for those targets. What we then do is to develop them based on what we have determined as the best use and the demand that we have identified from within our sales team. We then build that up to the portfolio that we have, and we have been quite successful so far.
Tell us a little bit about the project mix. I know real estate is quite a big one within your portfolio, but in what other spaces are you in, and what other spaces are you looking at?
Okay, I could possibly start with even the project mix within real estate, because it's quite broad. The project mix for us within the real estate, we have housing projects where we have units that we are selling, complete units that we are selling already to the market as buy and occupy. Within the same, we have a tenancy purchase program where you get to pay for your house within a period of 10 years. Ends up being almost like rent that you're paying. But at the end of the 10 years, you'll own that property. We have the land projects where we have bare land in some cases, split into those ready for development immediately, and some that are speculative. On Friday, I had an interesting discussion with one of our members who told me they purchased a project with us about 3 years ago, and purely for speculation, and they managed to offload that at 4 times the price at which they bought this year. Quite fantastic. We also have within the land some other asset class that is more of concepts, where we buy some land, we put in some infrastructure, and we sell this out as a concept. So more of controlled development, infrastructure exists, and you come in and within a period of time, you're supposed to have developed that product. So that's the real estate portfolio. Then we have looked at shares within the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We have purchased 1 or 2 for 2 reasons: the capital gains and as well as the dividend return. So based on the analysis that our business development team does, we decide which ones to pick, when to cash in, and when to expand that portfolio. The third that we have tried so far is primary production in agriculture. It has had mixed results, and we are now rethinking how else to do it. We want to get more into value addition as opposed to primary production. We think there is much more opportunity within the value addition space.
In the agriculture space, any particular, can you just zoom that in a little bit? Is it horticulture? Is it dairy?
We started off with horticulture for exports, basically. And we have had a good run at it. As I've said, mixed benefit. Right now, we are looking a lot more into value addition for local sale. So we are engaging parties, so more or less business partnerships, capital investments, and we are looking at companies that are doing, production of foods. There are certain industries we have decided we will not get into. So,
such as?
Those in alcohol, those ones in. We will not do anything to do with gambling. Will not do anything to do with smoking. But all the others, more or less, are open as value addition. Last year, we started a program where we are inviting members of the public who have companies that need some sort of funding to reach out to us in a platform we call Gichangi. So on our website, you'll see about Gichangi. If you have an idea or actually a business running for about 2 years and you just want to grow it to the next level, we are welcoming those companies to come and have a chat with us, and we'll see how we can support them as part of our portfolio expansion.
That's quite interesting. So as as equity, or what do you invest in it?
We look at it from two perspectives. We can either do debt for you, so we can provide you some level of debt as ourselves, or we are willing to go in as an equity partner. So depending on how much value we can bring to your business, if we have good enough knowledge in the business, we will definitely go for equity. If we feel that the business is exciting, but we are not very sure about the nuts and bolts of the industry, we will go for debt finance. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. So how are these decisions reached when you decide we're going into real estate, or within real estate we'll get into housing, we'll get into buying land and subdividing it? How are these decisions made?
So we have multiple levels of decision making within the organization. So we have the originators, who are our business development team. Then they meet the management within the SIC, who is the CEO and his direct reports. And then they finally present for approval and funding to the board. And the way we have structured the process is such that the scouting team will go and identify whichever opportunity it is. They will do some analysis on that opportunity, where they will determine how much benefit can we provide to a customer. And we often try to do that within the market rate. So we acquire slightly lower than the market. We do some enhancements and value addition and bring it to the market at more or less market rates. Then, based on that, they will present that report to our management team. They will get professional input at that point, maybe some valuers, maybe some consultants coming in, depending on whether it's a basic real estate project, a valuer will come in, maybe an architect, etc. For the business, other business development opportunity, the debt and equity investment, we'll have some consultants coming in and advising on the asset that we are looking at, what's the valuation, how much equity, what would we require to grow it to the level where we are willing to exit or get tangible value and things like that. When they have all of that information, they then present it to the board, and the board will take a decision on the 4 or 5 opportunities presented to them as often as they are available. Once the decision is taken, we go into contracting, and then we go ahead and implement the project.
All right. Yeah. Tell us about the gender balance, within SIC, both from a membership perspective and a leadership perspective.
All right. So we have quite an interesting portfolio mix. We have slightly over 50%, possibly similar to, you know, our census results. Slightly over 50% of our members are ladies, which is quite encouraging. Within our board, we have only 3 gentlemen. The rest are ladies. So, I mean, out of a number of 9, you have 6 are ladies, 3 are gents. So quite well balanced. Within our management, we have a small imbalance, not too much, 2 ladies, 4 gents. But within the rest of the organization, it's pretty even at about 52% without being ladies. We are really proud of the gender balance that we have in the organization. It makes the discussions quite rich and the perspectives quite broad. Yeah.
Now, the Kenyan society as a whole is one that's known to really work on the models of where resources are pooled. So either you look at it from a merry-go-round perspective, or a table banking perspective, or a Chama perspective. And the question is, how does a Chama grow from where it is, to have the possibilities of being an SIC?
Wow, it's a loaded question and quite future-looking. When you look back, possibly a number of years back, and you look at some of the most successful Chamas, maybe those that come easily to mind are the likes of Trans-Century. A group of gentlemen together and decide, we are going for this big dream. The purpose for which a group is formed, a group investment is formed, is the primary anchor that drives it. Beyond that, the leadership of that group and the member push within that group determines where it will land, but as well comes with the commitment of those members. When I look at it, if you have a strong group that is fully committed, making their contributions, making prudent investment decisions, then following that through with continuous investment, the likelihood is very high that they will be able to make a good return. I met a certain group of quite elderly men, and they told me they are 27 in number. They told me they started investing in properties in the 1980s. And they wanted to offload to us, and we are in a transaction with them today, a project that they purchased over 20 years ago. When you sit with them and you go through the thinking, it is very different from maybe my age, where we are looking at instant returns. I want to drive the big car the following day. But a lot of these things are built over time. So you find the length for which you are willing to invest. If you have a little bit of money that you are willing to invest and can set aside, give it a little bit more time, the likelihood that you are going to make a much better return is much higher. So patience is the game here. You are not putting in your money so that you can get it for Christmas. That type of a group will not be able to see the growth. But where you're putting your investment in for the long term, the likelihood for you to make much higher returns is better. This group I'm talking about purchased the land and will sell it to us. They'll possibly sell it to us at more than 100 times the cost at which they purchased. When you compound that even over the number of years, the return on that investment is so much higher than if you are being given a small amount from the group every now and then to cash out. But they then made conscious decisions to invest in the long term. So have a solid group, make a continuous investment into the group, have very strong leadership, then make prudent investment decisions, make sure you are thinking long term, and you'll be able to see your portfolio grow.
All right. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today. And of course, we wish SIC all the very best. And we're looking forward to seeing you list and to, of course, inspire other smaller, similar organizations to take the same path.
Thank you, Torian.
We've been with Peter Gichangi, the board chair, Safaricom Investment Cooperative. Don't go too far. We'll be back in just a moment where we'll have a look and a quick analysis on exactly where the circle and the cooperative space is at. Don't go too far.